I'm Dylan Lockwood, the online content editor with ZPrime. I'm here backstage at Start at ETS at One World Theater in Austin, Texas, with the Director of Business Development at LO3 Energy, Scott Kessler. How are you doing today, Scott?
Doing pretty well. Thanks for having me.
So how are you liking the event so far? What does this kind of event do for a startup like LO3?
The event's been really great. I mean, we are a pretty small shop. We don't have a ton of teams, so we can't be going to every utility, introducing them to ourselves. So an event like this, where we get to do it all at once, get on a stage, sort of introduce ourselves and say, here's where we think our value is, and do it in front of an audience of some of the best and largest utilities and retailers in the United States, priceless for us.
Why do you think sometimes it's hard for utilities to do business with startups?
Well, I think it's not really what they're designed to do. They are regulated monopolies a lot of the time, and so they've been sort of put into a very specific box. It's been a good box for the past 100 years, and all of a sudden things are changing pretty quickly. And as far as their history goes, they've been around for 150 years or so, and now in 5-10 years we're asking them to totally reinvent themselves, find new business models. So I think it's not really what they're designed to do. So they're just figuring out sort of internally how to structure and deal with it, let alone how to actually work with startups effectively who are 10, 20, 30 person shops compared to, their thousands and thousands of employees.
I mean, we got a lot of utilities here, so clearly that dynamic is changing.
Oh, certainly. I mean, I think events like this, I think, just necessity of the industry is sort of causing all of this to happen in a much shorter time frame than we would have expected. I think it's good to see. I think there's a lot more receptiveness now that, we all agree that we need new thoughts, we need innovation to come from the startups to the utilities, and they're gonna have to partner to get that, because I think for a long time they sort of thought they could do it all internally, and it's really been shown that they're really not great at coming up with new products themselves. It's really, they like to work with other folks who do that.
Are there advantages that come from with being a small startup that some of the more ingrained players don't bring?
I don't have a regulator who's, looking at most of the things I do and, reviewing my cost spending. My investors do that, but there is a lot more flexibility. We have a certain amount of risk tolerance, which they don't. We have a certain amount of willingness to try new things. We can change course pretty quickly. I think all those things are to the benefit of startups.
So what are some of the current challenges utilities have serving customers that startups are trying to address?
Well, I think just customer choice has been a big problem for a long time. For most of the sort of history of electricity, it's been your electricity costs this much and you pay it at a certain time interval and you don't know when you used it and you didn't really have much choice in the cost of it. So I think now that there are all sorts of new options coming online with, solar and being able to participate and own a share of a solar farm, or, being able to consider reducing your energy at the right time to help reduce strain on the grid. All this flexibility, all this choice, that creates a lot of optionality that wasn't there for a long time. And I think that choice is really what's driving most of this change. And so you can really start to see the customer, the consumer, the prosumer really emerge and take an active role, which they never had before.
So what is your organization, LO3, doing to cultivate innovation?
So at LO3 Energy, we were one of the first ones to get into the whole blockchain and energy space. And what we really like to show is that not only were we one of the first ones to actually do a transaction, but now we are one of the innovators in looking at where this is going to go. Where is their near-term value? And we think that is around allowing customers to be able to trade with one another directly, looking at local clean energy as sort of a premium product that utilities haven't offered before. And we think there's near-term value there. And while simultaneously also trying to deliver where is their medium to long-term value coming out of this? Is it the potential for a distribution level marketplace to be a new way to manage the grid, and so a distribution utility can purchase, the amount of demand reduction they need to save a transformer, for example. That type of thinking we are still pretty much on the cutting edge of, and we like to continue to stay there.
So, what's probably your biggest takeaway from this whole process of this competition and engaging with these judges and also with your fellow competitors?
Well, one big takeaway is just there's a lot of impressive startups out there today, and I think that's a good thing, and that's to the benefit of the industry. I think the more success stories we can show in the energy space and working with startups, that's going to encourage and incentivize more partnerships. So I think there's sort of a growing of the pie that you can see in an event like this. I also think that we look and get to hear directly from a lot of the most progressive utilities, the ones we want to work with, and figure out what are they actually looking for today. I have a general idea in my head, but hearing it directly out of someone's mouth is so much more powerful. And being able to make sure that the product that I'm offering is designed so that these types of customers, I'm giving them what they want.
Well, thank you for your insights, Scott. We really appreciate having you here today, and good luck in the competition.
Thanks so much.